But in terms of digital platforms, and we talked about Steam, how's it affected you? Has that been the game changer, the fact you can get direct to your players, or has it been something else?
Like Steam's made me stupidly wealthy. Like when it comes down to it, like Steam have persuaded people to stay with the PC because the PC was sort of in decline. They've made it really easy to buy stuff online, and that was a big thing. Like me and Jake remember all these years of fiddling around with, does this button get more clicks on than this shaped button, and trying to persuade people that their credit card would be hacked and all that stuff if they're going to buy online. So Steam made all of that easy, and it like legitimized it, and it gave you one website that you could go to look for a PC game. So it's been transformational, and it's been brilliant. And I genuinely think Steam has been trying to do the right thing and has been trying to do it for the right reasons and has totally transformed PC gaming. But that is a separate conversation from what is the value proposition to a developer for Steam in 2020, which is very different. There are a lot of other options now. There was no Kickstarter back then.
Yeah.
And in fact, to answer your question about does it help you get closer to your customers? No, sort of further away in a sense, because there's many definitions of indie, but one of the ones I still cling to is having your own website and selling your own games direct.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you get your customers' emails, providing they opt into that, and you can literally send a newsletter to them, and they will reply to your newsletters, and they will have conversations with you and stuff like that, right? I know you can do that on the forums via Steam and everything else, but they own the customers, right? And you can only interface through whatever means Steam views as fit. So that is one good thing about selling direct, which Cliff has made a much bigger success of than me. I also had all my games on the casual portals. They had Big Fish Games, for example, has its own launcher, and they had that way before 2010, which you could launch their various games. And because their model is you have a demo, and if you play it for more than an hour, it says, hey, now you need to buy it. And so their launcher dealt with all that for basically not tech savvy audience, and that worked very well for them. But again, I had no contact with the customers. They dealt with one thing they dealt with was customer support. They actually had a huge office of people dealing with that, which was great because you never had to deal with people saying, my download doesn't work, my Mac has blocked your download from running, because they would deal with that. But so the only way you can have your customers is via direct sales or itch.io. Apparently, I think you can do that, but I've yet to get on there, and I really should. But I know that it's only going to be a tiny percentage of revenue, and Steam hasn't made me rich, unlike Cliff. But it's been good selling games on there. It's been overall a good experience. The people I've dealt with at Steam are good. They're helpful and useful, and I like it as a platform, and I want to keep using it. It's just getting increasingly hard to sort of survive selling games on there. That's what I feel, and many other devs, as well. It's different for Cliff, but and many of my friends, when I lived in Vancouver in 2008 to 2012, they were all just getting on Steam for the first time, and a lot of them had huge successes on there. And I was still mucking around in casual games, so I kind of missed that boat. And by the time I got on Steam, I think, now I'm like, it's difficult.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to remember, of course, that going back, let me think, I don't know, 5-7 years probably, you couldn't just put your game on Steam. That wasn't how you worked. You had to be sort of asked almost, and then they brought the green light process thing in, which sort of was a kind of democratic, tool, I suppose. We'll use that word very carefully with Cliff's presence, of course, because he makes games called democracy, and they're very successful too. Probably the most successful thing about democracy is Cliff Harris. So nowadays, if you're a developer, it's a relatively straightforward process to both open up an account with Steam and then get your game on there. And I think that has produced a ton more competition. It's probably a good thing for gamers, but it comes with a cost in terms of the sheer amount of titles that launch. I mean, from a personal perspective, with our flight sims and train sims at Just Flight and Just Trains, we have that direct relationship with customers. And if we didn't, and we had to just rely on, we do have Steam, so, you know, Steam revenue, but it's through a publisher. You know, generally Microsoft own Flight Simulator and Dovetail own the Train Simulator. So we have to go through those guys. And it's much slower. We don't know who we're dealing with. We've got no real feel for our customers. Whereas our own website, you know, justflight.com and justtrains.net, we've got our own communities. And if we didn't have that, we'd be a very different business. We wouldn't be truly independent. I'd never thought about the definition of indie, Jake, but you're right, actually. Having direct contact with the people that enjoy your software. I was going to say play your games. We don't make games, we make simulators, but, you know, hey, but Cliff, what about you in terms of digital platforms? And they've been transformational, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I've used, because I've been around so long, I've used everything, you know, and like I remember the ones that have come and gone. Occasionally I'll get an email about like Try Media, who I presume has gone bust.
Oberon.
Yeah, Oberon, those were days. Yeah. I mean, I remember a time when...
Fly, remember them?
Yeah. Well, who remembers, like, what's it called? It was renamed to Impulse, and then GameStop renamed it to something else, and then they just kind of deleted it.
Holgate, was it?
It was the Stardock. Stardock had
Stardock, yes, yeah.
Their thing, and they managed to do that because they had all their own software, their like productivity software stuff, and they had Galactic Civilizations, which at the time was very popular. So it's like Steam had Half-Life, and they used Half-Life to force you to install their thing, and
but also just on that point, Half-Life the game, and I mentioned Counter-Strike earlier. Half-Life wasn't just a game in the sense that, you know, I don't know, FIFA as a game or Battlefield as a game. It was really, you know, the number of mods that were being made, the number of sub games that were there, you know, Science and Industry, Natural Selection, Gary's mod, all these it was really a playground of itself. So by forcing Half-Life on there, yes, they were forcing the main Half-Life consumers to play on there, but there were also all that other community, which was actually a very connected community very early, before a lot of other games had this real multiplayer connectivity. They were also bringing all those communities over as well to kind of accelerate it a little bit.
I think that's the only way anyone can do it, right? I mean, that's how Half-Life did it, because they had a community. How Steam did it, because they have Valve did it, because, you know, they had that game, and Impulse was only ever a thing because of Galactic Civilizations. I mean, let's be honest, the Epic Store wouldn't exist without Fortnite.